The only cars I've owned over the last 20 years have been the Volvo 240s. I've owned a handful of them, and I've run them all into the ground. My current ride has over 354k, a couple of dents, and a weather paint job. These cars are workhorses and they're perfect for what I do. They're simple, roomy, robust, and the trunk is huge, enabling me to pile in my camera gear and a couple of bikes to hit the road with the homies. I'm Jeff Zielinski, and this is In the Volvo. Okay, we can fit everyone.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Back seat is extra spacey today.
Yeah, I took out the baby seat. Vegan's no stranger to being in the Volvo.
I'm a seasoned veteran of Volvo vet.
But welcome to episode of In the Volvo.
I'm just here for moral support, you know. This is all about Jake today.
It's all about me.
Close to you real quick.
Oh, sick. Yo, the camera's catching my good side too. I got a huge patch on this side from my beard. Fuck yeah.
It took me 41 years to get rid of the patches. Finally,
really?
Probably.
So I have hope.
Yeah.
Oh man, that's great.
I had a patch going somewhere. I think I still do a little bit, but
yeah. My shit is weak.
I thought I was doomed for life. Feather pretty much forever.
You might be though. I don't know. I don't.
Might be.
Could be
it's part of patches.
I remember you mentioned me the other day. You've been on Sunday for 12 years?
Something right around there, yeah. I think it was 2007 when Jim C drove out to Pittsfield and kind of like put together this day for like us to like go snowboarding at my local mountain, and then we ate at my it's a really good wing spot in my town. And during that time, he presented me like a check to Sunday. So I guess I've been riding.
Were you on a loan before that? Or
yeah, I was on a loan. Yep, I was on a loan before that. And when I was 18, I had the chance to graduate high school or go on a trip to England with a loan for 2 weeks. And yeah, long story short, I ended up just going to England, having the time of my life, probably learning way more than I would have like in that fucking like couple weeks of school. And I ended up having to go to summer school to make up my credits, and I ended up passing high school, luckily, you know. So, yeah, that was sick.
Sounds worth it.
Oh, so worth it. And actually, that trip was like kind of like what like kind of sparked like the idea with Jim about Sunday, I guess, because like the distribution that Alone was distributed through is the same that distributed Sunday at Odyssey at the time. So, yeah, I guess kind of word of mouth. I did a pretty good job out there and shot some a bunch of stuff, and they were hyped. So, I don't know. I just remember it so vividly. I was in my grandmother's basement, and I was just chilling on my computer. She's like, "Yeah, you got a package," and I like opened it up, and it's a frame, bars and forks, yellow. Like Sunday. I remember
Old Jake Seeley sig.
And that's kind of what started it. And then I just kind of put in the work and time, filmed the video part for Up, Up, and Away. And then right after that's when I went pro for Sunday.
I feel like in that era, you were one of the first people that had crazy-ass colored bikes.
I gotta give it to Aaron, obviously, first.
Well,
but
yeah, he
in a different type of colorful, though,
like
for sure.
Like brakeless street riding bikes.
Yeah. Notepad yellow with the orange parts, yeah. And that's when I was living in Austin, and I filmed with Stu for the props bio.
Who else was on Sunday back then? Obviously, Ian Schwartz was on a team.
Ian Schwartz, Kurt Rasmussen.
Oh, you're right. That's like partially OG Sunday guys.
Yeah, no, definitely. Unfortunately, I didn't get a chance to ride with like Vinny or any of those dudes while they were on, or Holder. But yeah, kind of right after that is when I got on. So at least I got to ride with Ian and Kurt and Aaron, obviously, and Jim. So.
Oh, so you rode with Kurt?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Cool. I actually went to Guadalajara with Kurt.
Nice.
And the rest of the dudes.
Okay.
So that was fucking awesome. That was a great experience. He's such a cool dude.
Isn't he a cop now?
I believe so.
Yeah,
Pretty sure, yeah. For those of you who don't know what we're talking about, Kurt Rasmussen.
Go watch his fucking left, right.
Yeah, we're definitely going to cue that right now.
Yeah.
At least a couple bullets.
Go. So, yeah.
Rail, gap rail.
Okay, 12 years?
On those, yeah.
Just about, man. and couldn't be more hyped. There was definitely like a bump in the road when Jim left. That was a weird state on Sunday, and I almost like honestly I didn't see myself, but I almost like it just almost happened where I wasn't gonna ride for Sunday anymore. But
what was all that about?
That was just my own self, just like lack of effort and thinking I deserve more than I should, and just like kind of like what a lot of people fall into, like I don't know. I just like at the time I was like, why aren't I getting this or this? I've been on blah 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 for this long, and like you guys. Whatever, I was supposed to get a frame, never got a frame, but like really it fell all on my lack of effort, honestly. I was going through a tougher part of my, wow, that spot's fucking sick.
It is, but
it looks hard to grind.
It's hard to grind, yeah.
But yeah, I just like went through a weird part of my life where I just like was really kind of depressed and bummed out and just like, just not myself, I was really negative. And,
is that when you're eating too much ketchup?
Definitely when I was eating way too much ketchup and drinking way too many beers, dude. I was probably like 200 pounds at one point, during this time.
You were a thick boy back in the day.
Yeah, man, it sucked. So, I don't know, I just like stopped drinking and like I got out of a toxic relationship that I was in and just kind of started being more open-minded, thinking, just like with the mind state that like you get what you put into it, like the more you do, the more you're gonna get, and that's just how it honestly has been ever since. I definitely still get in ruts of like just like I gotta do more, but like that's motivating, and like I always try to stay humble, be really happy for what I have, and honestly, like ever since I moved to Austin with Eric Elstrand and a couple of my buddies, like that was like the turning point for me. It was a great escape, and I just learned a ton about myself and like how to be a professional bike rider, just like my role in this company that I'm riding for,
Now you have your name on a complete bike.
Got my name on a complete bike, got signature frame, bars, tires, pegs, seat. I'm happy, man. I mean, they take such good care of me. Hopefully I'm Sunday till the end, I mean, fucking love what they do for me, and I really back the company, and they give me a lot of freedom with what I want to do, like my parts, my riding, like everything. So just feeling that support is great.
Yeah, do you want to talk about the Street Sweeper line a little bit?
Street Sweeper line, the name kind of came, I don't know, if I don't give Andrew Mick a little bit of credit, I know I'm going to get hated on for this,
he's the OG.
He's the OG Street Sweeper, like we can't deny that, and I did know that when I like rode with him when I was a lot younger and everything, but the name it must have stuck with me for some reason. So basically, when they were coming up with a name, I'm like, yo, like I ride pretty close to the ground all the time, and like I'm always like riding crusty, shitty like spots that like are kind of beat up. Like it's kind of like street sweeping the streets, even like close to the ground, grinding, clean. Like I don't know.
It's cool. There's actually a backstory. It's not just it's a catchy name.
Oh yeah,
you have like a little reasoning. With Madera, I mean, you and Elstrand are teammates on two companies.
Yes,
pretty sick. And then
it's awesome.
I feel like the Madera team, like
those dudes keep me on my toes, man.
Yeah,
they're at it, like they're on it, and that's good to have. Like, you kind of catch yourself even just like getting a little too relaxed, like they're up and at it, So I'm not, and it's in a fun way, It's not, there's nothing bad about it at all. It's sick. That's how they get shit done, and that's why they got a video coming out soon. So
yeah, how was it filming with Grant?
So easy. He's just like, he goes at your pace, and he asks you like angles and stuff. So if there was like something that you had in mind, he'd take that in consideration with his filming, which is really nice. To get the best shot, obviously, where we're both happy. Overall, it's just super easy. I feel bad that he has to deal with me for some of the time filming because I just take for a while, or I'll get frustrated pretty easily, Well, but he's really patient with me and definitely lets me get it out.
The thing I appreciate about Grant is that he really, well, obviously him being a really technical rider, also just hearing him speak about the tricks and like how to do them, he really has a good grasp on like what it is you're trying to do.
Oh, of course. Yeah, and he rides like technically kind of pretty similar to me, so he knows like the eye of capturing that trick in the best way. Yeah, which is really cool.
And he can relate to like, this might take a while.
Exactly. But yeah, back to like I was trying the same teams and stuff, dude. It's great. There's like, I mean, with the Madera team, it's like a complete opposite type of. I mean, not completely different, but it's a lot different than the Sunday team and how we operate, which I love how they operate too. It's like my favorite ever, because like we're kind of just like go at our own pace, and like, you know, we get shit done, but it's at our own time. You know, like there'll be a couple of days maybe where someone just get like 2 clips, or we go out or whatever, but the next day we're in game mode. Like it's like, all right, yo, we're gonna get that shit done.
Have you over the years changed like your approach to filming, or do you find it, as you've done a lot of things you've done and found a lot of the perfect spots to do tricks you want to do, do you find it's getting like increasingly difficult for you to find new stuff, or you're challenging yourself to do harder things? Or
yeah, definitely. It's been harder and harder every year, every part, every like Instagram clip, just because I always want to try something different and new that I don't do all the time. You know, like a lot of my clips aren't repeated in my video parts. Like you won't see like a lot of the exact same thing over and over and over again. Or else I'll try to like progress that trick, you know, in a way. But yeah, I mean, as you get older, you know, it's a little harder. But I definitely, there's like 3 different levels of my filming now of how I take it, like mentally. Like my Instagram clips are a certain style, my video part stuff is a certain style, and then like just my everyday riding, I have to have my own like type of way about going about it now, because my knees are really old. I don't have as much like pop in my knees as I used to, or as much like juice in them. So kind of like got to learn to like know when to pace myself when I do certain things, and how long I can do certain tricks, and stuff like that. But yeah, like with like learning different stuff, it definitely is harder. But I feel more gratification when I do learn that new trick that I've never done before, or else I come up with.
Right. So
like same with filming. I mean that goes right into filming, because you always want to do something like better than it was before, or else like you're progressing in your video parts. A lot of time, like when people are filming for a video part, at least for me, it's a trick I've never even done before, but like I'm trying that trick for that video part, you know, only.
Do you mentioned how like you approach Instagram and video parts differently? Do you want to elaborate at all on that? Like what is the difference?
I use Instagram a lot to do more like, it's more jib stuff. Like it's not necessarily always smaller, but I like it's more about the technical aspect of it for me on Instagram, or like the new learn, basically.
Okay, the new learn, yeah, that's a thing. Instagram, I think, for sure.
Yeah, so, and it's hard with my Instagram too, because I like take Instagram pretty serious, where I want to like put good stuff on it like every time I post.
But at the same time, if you learn a new trick, you don't want to blow it out before you do it.
Yeah, very true. But then, actually, I take that back. I would just blow it out.
Yeah.
I don't care. Yeah, and then I would just like try to like a video part, do it on something bigger. That's kind of like what I say in the video part stuff is like
the real setup.
The real setup. Yeah, I guess that's where you could like. So on Instagram, it's either like my stuff's like about the setup, and I do like a trick on it. You know, like I recently filmed like a feeble grind on a rail, but I went through a bush, so like that was cool on Instagram. You know, I would never put that in a video part. But then like I would also try to do like this crazy combo or whatever on Instagram on a flat ledge.
Right.
Where on the video part, it'd be like, okay, I'm gonna look for either this. It's either the spot is just like wow, or the trick has to be like that much better and bigger on it. It's just bigger stuff, you know.
Yeah, that makes sense.
You film. Because you're looking through a screen like this compared to a big TV, you know, like.
Plus, I think when they're watching a full video part, they want to see like you want extra mile, extra effort.
Yeah,
that's where you want to see the good shit.
Exactly.
Instagram's
yeah.
If you watch a video part and people are doing like Instagram stuff, it's just like, dude, why you just put it on Instagram?
It is hard though. Like people are tough on Instagram though. They want to see like if you put like something out that you're like really stoked on, that's like good. Like they expect that over and over again, you know. And when you stop doing that, that's when you start like.
Getting flack.
Or else just like losing followers, I guess, or just like interest in what you're doing.
Another thing I've noticed when you're filming, like I've noticed it when you're filming with disjointing for headlights. Everyone is pretty critical about how they do stuff, but I feel like you'll land something, but you're like, all right, we have that one, but I want to do it again.
Yes.
Like what's driving you to like continue?
It's the curse of being a perfectionist, man. I like overthink and stress every single thing I do, so that like relates right into my riding, unfortunately, because like I wish that was where it would kind of just escape, but also it's kind of built me into the type of rider that I am now. You know, if I'm not hard on myself, I'm not going to be happy with the end result, because at the beginning result, I have a complete image in my head of exactly how I'm going to do the trick and how I want it landed.
Okay.
And I I'd rather, like, if I landed a trick in, like, 2 tries and, like, kind of, like, was a little sloppy, or even, like, a bar turn, like, on a turn or a roll, if I don't land it perfectly straight, and if I go straight and turn my bar a weird way, I always redo it for some reason.
Wow.
It's just, like, small little, like, things that I can't, like, because, I don't know, I'm kind of a crazy person where I guess everybody's like this, where they, like, really watch their footage and critique themselves when it comes out or something, you know? And, like, I just, like, I'll let it bother me. If I don't land it exactly what I went there to go land it, like, it'll bother me for, like, days until I land something next where I'm, like, happy with it.
When you watch other people's video parts, do you critique it the same way, or are you kind of just
I do, and it's I honestly, like, kind of hate that about myself, because it's, like, almost like judgmental. But, like, I really, like, even when people are doing their trick, even if I'm in person with them and they'll land a little sloppy, like, in my gut, I'm like, oh, do it again, please do it again, do it again. And if I don't go up to them, but if if they like, oh, should I do that again? I'm like, yeah, like, I'm always the dude to be honest with you and, like, yo, go do that shit again, because you can do it way better, and, like, but it might not matter to them. That's why it sucks.
Yeah, you have to tiptoe.
Like that.
Yeah.
You know, like, they
Not
might just be so
everybody cares that much.
stoked that they landed it the way they did. When I'm over here, like, oh, you could land that perfect, just because I'm really stoked for them to land it perfect, you know?
Okay.
And that's really
I'm just like, whenever I do it, I'm like, damn, that trick would be sick, but it would be so much sicker if you did it perfect.
Yeah. So,
Now, you being in California, working on the Madera video, so this filming situation is unique for you, because Grant lives in California, and then you pretty much only film for this video on trips, right?
right, yeah, yep.
So how is that? I mean, I'm sure that's kind of how a lot of projects are for you, but
Yeah, no, definitely being from Pittsfield, there's no filmers or anybody, so I kind of always have to travel unless just, like, some homie camp stuff, you know? It's been difficult, only in the aspect that I haven't been able to film much. I've gone on maybe a trip and a half, and got stuff I was happy with on that, but because everyone else kind of, like, lives out here, or else is like around Grant all the time, like, everybody's just like, you got to go on trips,
Right.
So it's like, right now I'm on a trip. Luckily, this one I had a little more time than the past ones, so it hasn't been as much pressure, you know. And, like, I ride a lot better without pressure, I feel like. But then again, deadlines come, then you gotta do what you gotta do. But it's just nice to come out here right now and film a Grant. I gotta play catch up, but I still don't feel that, like, heavy pressure, which is really nice.
that's good.
So yeah, it's good. It's just taking a little slower for me, and it'll get done. I feel bad though, because, like, a lot of dudes are almost done with their parts, but you know, there's nothing truly that I can do about that, really, you know. And these next couple trips that I'm about to go on, I just gotta put in some work and get some shit done.
I feel like Mike Higgins, the Madera TM, is he, being a rider himself, he tries to be pretty accommodating and, like, understanding of, like, riders' positions.
100%,
like,
dude. Yeah, like, just a minute ago, I was like, dude, I'm sorry for being such a pain in the ass. I feel like I'm a pain in the ass. Like, dude, no, like, that's how teams work. Not everybody's surrounded by each other, or right around each other, and that's just how it has to be. But we're gonna get you on as many trips as we can to get this part done. So that was pretty awesome. That's very good.
That sounds like Mike would say.
Yeah, exactly. It's very good.
But yeah, that's awesome. That you got a good squad there
Yeah, man.
backing you, you know.
Yeah, it's amazing. Even Grant's been super, like, just, like, behind me, like, working with me as much as he can and stuff. So that's great.
How was it, like, is this your first trip meeting, like, Mike Stahl?
This is like my first actual, like, time ever kicking it myself. He's the homie for sure.
Yeah,
We've been vibing real hard this whole trip.
he's just so down to ride.
Yeah.
You know?
He comes to a spot and it's just like fireworks. There's explosions
God,
everywhere. Like, he's just hitting there, and he's like, this landing shit, and he's just like, the nice thing about him, though, is, like, there's certain people that, like, that's a little too much. Like, that's kind of annoying when you're riding, but he does it tastefully, and, like, he'll, like, he's not gonna, like, snake you or try to, like, he's not, like, looking for your eyes to be on him.
Exactly.
It's really just him going out and having a fucking blast, and him wanting to ride his bike and just hit shit. He's just like, bam, bam, bam.
He's just really
and that's
motivated.
so cool. Yeah.
Yeah, you could tell it's a selfless enthusiasm.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
Fuck technology. All right, so Jake talked for a couple minutes about his BMX background, upbringing, and it didn't record. So, Jake,
round two. That kind of goes back to like perfecting the clip, you know, not getting exactly how you wanted to.
Oh, so now you can say everything with more
now
precision.
everything will be perfect. Yeah.
Make sure your front wheel is the way you want it when you're rolling out.
Exactly.
It's kind of funny because I feel like if people see the way you ride now, they would never guess what your background in riding actually is.
Yeah, it's funny. I actually started out racing. I rode in the NBL from when I was about 8 years old till about 13. And around the time when I was like starting to get burnt out on it, was a little too much pressure for me, and it was just a lot on me. I just didn't really enjoy it as much as I did when I first got into it. So I was riding in Tri-City, New York, at a racetrack there, and they were doing a raffle, and I ended up winning the raffle and won a bunch of stuff. And along with that stuff, I got a DVD. It was Ride Thunder, actually.
DVD or VHS?
Oh yeah, you're right. VHS.
Fact check.
It's been a long time. So yeah, VHS, and that was like the first like introduction I had to street riding, really, or like ramp riding, or just anything out of the ordinary than like racing or building like a little jump in your yard and just hitting it as fast as you could, going as far as you could, you know. Mm-hmm. So that was really, really cool to see, and I just fell in love with it at that point. And around the same time, I had a few friends that were racing that kind of felt the same way as I did. They were just like kind of burnt out on it and wanted to like get into freestyle. So they were from Vermont, Manchester, Vermont. So every weekend, basically, my grandfather would drive me up to Vermont, and I'd stay there for the weekend. He'd come back and pick me up afterwards. He was a champ. Like, he just supported my shit so much. And definitely got to give him most of the credit for like where I am today, for sure. But yeah, so I'd go up and ride with these dudes, Grady, Todd, Devin, and Rick. We would just ride the skate park constantly, every day, all day, like that we could. And at that time, we were like starting to search for street and like starting to like really get into freestyle BMX. You know, I would hit like every contest on the East Coast that I could. Like La Revs, FBM Ghetto Street Comps. There was like Brooklyn Banks jams that I would go to as time went on. You know. I ended up meeting new people, and I met Steve Courteau at one of the La Rev contests, and we just had a lot of, I guess, in common at the time, a lot of similar interests, and we just started talking to each other through AOL and, you know, whatever, chatting, and he was like, yo, you should come out to New York City and ride sometime. So as cool as my grandfather was, he's like, all right, let's go to New York City this weekend. I'll drop you up, and I'll pick you up on Monday, or Sunday night, so you can go to school. I'm like, all right, sick. So go to the city, kick it with him and all his squad. We'd always be meeting new people out there. It was awesome. And over time, I got introduced to Adam 22 through Steve-O. Became really good friends with him. He was out with us all the time, and at that point, he was starting the Come Up. And actually, even before that, we were out sessioning one night. And like when I went to the city, like I still like didn't really ride pegs. I like rided a little bit, but nothing substantial. And I actually only had a front peg on at the time. So like we were out riding, cruising around and stuff, and like it was a fun time. I was doing like hang fives or whatever. I was like really into that at the time. And we come up to this like rail next to a ledge, like a little up rail, and I don't know, like the idea of just smithing up it came about, and yeah, basically tried it and laced it almost like first try, if I can remember correctly, and it was just like the sickest feeling. I just knew at that point, like I was like, fuck, this is what BMX is about. This is what I want to do. It's like the ultimate type of riding in my eyes. And from there it just stuck, and here I am today, still riding street. I got 4 pegs on, and it's funny, I actually slowly progressed. So I do 1 peg, and then I got into 2 pegs, then I rode 3 pegs, and now I'm at 4 where I'm at right now. So got a little taste of everything throughout my time, you know. So I can definitely say that I know a BMX bike pretty well, and everything it can fucking do.
You got hooked on the grind.
Yeah, hooked on the grind. Seriously, man.
Yeah, I remember like when I was first hearing of you, it was definitely in the same circles as like Steve-O and Adam 22 and
yeah, yep. I mean, a lot of people. I mean, that could be good or bad, whoever you talk to, you know. But I was still like great friends with both those dudes, and there's a lot of positivity that they bring to the table, and like haters gonna hate, you know. Once you really know them and shit, like you appreciate who they are. So, a big shout out to those dudes for fucking basically raising me. They was like my dads.
Adam definitely probably helped push your career a lot.
Yeah, most
like,
certainly. When like Steve-O was like more like teaching me street smarts and like how to live like not on the streets, but like, you know, in a way like how to like maintain around.
Taught you like urban camping and stuff like that.
Oh yeah, but yeah, I was like, no.
How's your friendship with Steve-O transcended nowadays? Like now that you're doing brands, and I feel like even like when you worked for the Garden, you were doing stickers, and t-shirts, and all that. Like
yeah, definitely. Steve-O's like kind of like he's like a motivator for me, like because I just see what he does with like the Peep game and all that stuff, and I really think he does an awesome job with it, like promoting it, and like has a really tight squad. And you know, Steve-O really cares about his like squad too, almost like I do with my locals, you know. He wants to like help the kids out. He wants to like be there to like build, like do a project and give them something to work for, you know. And like I think that's really cool. So we don't see each other much anymore, you know. Like when I'm out here, I'm usually so busy I can't link up with him in LA or whatever happens. I'd love to, you know, but yeah, I really go to him for advice a lot, like with like the clothing stuff, and even just like, I mean, we've been so close, and he's known like me, and like he knows like all of my life basically, because he was like one of my best friends growing up. So like I could still go to him for advice, you know, and stuff like that. Yeah.
Do you want to tell us a little more about Ighthype?
Yeah, so Ighthype was kind of like, it happened when like I was starting to follow the Guard. I was just losing interest. I didn't really want to work. I didn't want to put in work for somebody that didn't appreciate my stuff. And at the end of the day, like pretty much like I'm more of an individual. Like I like have my own thing, you know. Like I don't want to be like putting all my effort in for somebody else. At the end of the day, I just want my
your efforts to be for you.
Exactly. Kinda? Yes. Exactly. So at that time, I had a buddy, Mike Mack, that he owned a print shop in Pittsfield, and he's like, "Hey man, like you should really you should do like a clothing brand, or like start a company or something like to fall back on, you know, when Ryan's done." Like I don't think of it like that, but like an outsider, you know, he's like looking out for my best interest, you know, and he knew that I want to do something cool, and I can do like stuff like that, you know. So it's like, yo, like, hey, like you can, you know, start doing stuff at the shop and, you know, printing like here and whatever, blah 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 blah. And I'm like, oh fuck, all right, awesome. So kind of that sparked an idea, and like we're just going through. It's like, Jake, what are you gonna name this shit, dude? Like, I'm like, I don't fucking know, man. I don't know. And honestly, Ighthype came from a text message that I was talking to one of my homies. He's like, something about like he just come through to his crib, and I was like, Ighthype, you know, like I'll be there. And then at that point, I'm like, Ighthype, like kind of just like it works, and it's really hard to find a unique name that no one has ever used before, or that's just like different, you know. I wanted something that was gonna stick in people's minds, but also put a little bit of a question mark on it, like Ighthype, like, you know, kind of like what is that, you know? And honestly, it is what it sounds like, you know. It's just like an expression, almost like it's like Ighthype, you know. It's almost like a calming to it, like excitement, you know what I'm saying? I started off like just doing like clothing and stuff, but now it's like branched out into so much more. I'm like so into doing events now. I've thrown a bunch of BMX events. I threw a few concerts. Did a concert with DJ Lucas, who is a pretty he's an up and coming rap artist in like the Amherst area. It was super fun to work with him, and then at the time, like we at the concert that we threw, it was wild. It was like a metal / hip hop concert, because like I listen to all types of music, and I love all genres, and like bringing the two cultures together just sounds so cool to me. So doing the events through Ighthype is just another creative outlet for me. Like I try to take an original thing like a concert and put a twist on it, you know. So yeah, I just it's starting to turn into like more than just a clothing brand for me. Now, like, I'm really trying to like get more in. At first I wanted to be BMX. I wanted to be in BMX, but I didn't want it to be like a BMX clothing brand. You know, I just wanted it to be like everything.
Okay.
And now I'm like I just like opened up way more into like, you know, posting and promoting my friends to like my to the Ighthype Instagram, and like kind of building a team, like a squad of riders, which is really fun. And we actually started working on a video.
All right.
I'm working on a mixtape right now type thing. I'll probably be like, I don't know, 15-minute like web video, so that'd be pretty cool.
I've never been to Pittsfield, but I imagine when you're like, you know, just between like street riding and thinking about like clothing and, you know, fashion and music and all these things, like it's almost like in my mind I'm like, why don't you live somewhere like LA or New York or even in Austin?
It'd probably be a lot easier for me, honestly.
What brings you back, because you did live in Austin for a while, what brings you back to Pittsfield? I mean, it seems like you've been a pro for like 12 years, but for a lot of it you've managed to stay in this like small town.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. It's it is really, really hard, honestly, at times. Like it hit me the hardest the last time that I went home. This time, the past like month basically has been pretty hard. I just got out of the funk that I was in, but it's like nowadays it's so hard. Like people aren't motivated. They don't want to like do new things, and like it's just like an older city. So like all these like homies that I have, all these close friends, like I just feel like I like have to provide cool stuff for them. It's almost not like an obligation, but like for myself, I feel like I need to like give back to the city that I like, that helped grow me, you know, and like gave me all this opportunity, even at not having any opportunity, you know.
Okay.
It's like it's so hard to explain, but it's just I always end up back there somehow. There's always like something that drags me back, like that I enjoy about it. And honestly, nowadays I find more joy riding street and around that area and on the East Coast than I would anywhere else, because I'm starting to appreciate those type of spots more. And I think the East Coast has some of the sickest spots. I shouldn't be saying that being out in California. Obviously, there's amazing spots. It's just different, you know.
Yeah, totally.
And
I agree with you.
I think that's what brings me back, and I like variety, you know. And also, there's times when I want to chill. Like, there's times when I need that, like, I need to get away from all of the fast, like, moving everything, you know, and like, kind of like get grounded for a second to where I can get motivated and want to go do new stuff and ride and like get motivated to ride, you know. So like if I have that period where like I'm in Pittsfield, then when I go to Austin for the winter, I'm so fresh and like rejuvenated to ride because I left for a bit and I come back, you know.
Okay.
And that's the same thing maybe with Pittsfield. I'm not there long enough to let it drag me down to where all the people are like, oh, I fucking hate this place, like it's so depressing, there's nothing to do, blah 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 blah, this and that. I don't get that feeling. I when I go back home, I'm only there for like 6 months at a time, so I get like a lot of like just like it's just a fresh start every time I go, and there's always new fun stuff to do. So right before I came out here, I threw the Ighthype Dirt Brawl. So I don't know, I got the idea. I was like, oh, what can I do when I get back home? And I was like, what could I like get into that's a little different than just your normal street ride or like skate park jam, you know?
Okay.
So yeah,
at the Pittsfield Park.
At the Pittsfield Park for the 50th time. Like that's happened so many times, and each time it almost gets like smaller and smaller because like kids are just like jaded on it, you know? Yeah, it comes up to the day where we throw a jam, and we have 50 to 60 more kids showing up in the middle of the woods, in the middle of nowhere in Pittsfield, Mass. And it was fucking awesome. We had such a good time. Like the kids had a blast. Crazy shit went down, and yeah, overall it was just a great turnout and such a success, you know. I just like that's what I get out of it. Like I get so much joy out of like the kids like being able to shred and do fun things and like show off their passion just like I wanted to, you know. And like I mean, this isn't what it's all about. Like a lot of kids like need something to ride for, I guess. Mm-hmm. Like if they're just gonna ride and like do all these crazy tricks and learn all this stuff and they don't have anything to like show for it, like, we don't have filmers, we don't have like all this stuff out in Pittsfield, like, so it's kind of like, this is like the local thing for these kids to show off their talent and show what like they've been working on for all this years, like at the skate park, to like even like family, you know, like that's important to them. So that like there was parents and little kids out at the jam too, watching and stuff, and like it was just a perfect jam, man. It went really, really well. On the other hand, the city is still after me, trying to like get me for doing this jam illegally.
Really?
So basically, it's on city park property. It's actually not on my buddy's land, and the whole entire time they thought I was doing like a motorcycle dirt bike event, you know, that was gonna like just like cause a ruckus. And sure enough, like an hour and a half into the jam, the city park people come down because they like had their like main dude like tell them to like go check out and see what the hell's going on. And they come out and I have to like talk to them and be like, oh, they're like, he told you not to throw the jam and all this stuff. And I'm like, no, wait a second. He told me that I couldn't throw a big event. He said there couldn't be music and there couldn't be food. And I obeyed by those rules that he had set for me. It's not my fault that kids came out to support this thing that I wanted to do and just have a fun day of riding.
Yeah.
You know, like that's really what this was about. It's like I spent all this time building this giant bowl to like have a badass session with my homies, you know? So they all came down and they realized, they're like, wow, like this is actually really cool. And so they left. Got back to the parks department. Somebody probably still wasn't happy. And then all of a sudden, dude, from every corner entrance of the bowl, coming through the woods, because you have to walk like a bit through the woods to get to this, cops. I'm just like, oh my god. Like, I mean, I'm just still, we're all just jamming still. We're all riding. Like, I got my loudspeaker, all that shit, whatever. And like half the cops in the town like are a lot younger, and like some of them rode, and like a lot of them know like what's up and kind of like are cool. So they all get there. They're like, oh man, they're like, there's kids here, there's parents here. Like,
how do they handle that?
Like what are we gonna shut this down? Like, and just ruin everyone's day? Like, be those people? And long story short, basically, like after talking to everybody, talking to them, they just wanted us to like make the alcohol more low key. And some solo cups, but because they didn't have anything else to come at us about, you know, like they were cool enough to just be like, yeah, you know what, guys, like we'll leave, and they just left, let us have our time. They're like, Jake, how many hours do you need? I'm like, probably 3 or 4, and they were like, all right, we'll try to see what we can make happen, and they literally just left, and the whole day went smooth from there, and we didn't hear from anybody.
That's cool.
Yeah, so. But yeah, man, it sucks that like.
Are they still?
They're still. Them? Yeah. So it's funny. This morning, my buddy hits me up and he goes, "Yo, so the mayor of Pittsfield's looking for you." Like, they're looking for me. Like, how hard could it be to find me? Like, I've literally like everything. I like, even under the event, I'm like, I'm throwing the event. You know, like it's all under my name. Like, and there's so many people within the city that I've talked to already that know my name. It's like, if you really wanted to find me, you could. You know, but. Yeah, I guess they're like trying to find me for whatever, so we'll see what the fuck happens with that, dude.
Maybe it's a good thing though. Maybe they're like hyped on it. And
they could be, because also the week before the jam, I went to a city council meeting to get the other half of the skate park, dude, and like I gathered up, I filled out the whole entire courtroom, filled up every seat with BMXers, skaters, and people that supported.
To the park?
Yes. So this meeting was ideally to show interest, show that we needed, that the people that were giving us a grant, like, we want that, you know?
Yeah.
So I went in there, and like people went up there and said their words, you know, to support their, like, that we want the park and stuff. And I was just sitting there, and I really didn't want to go up, man, honestly. Just because I was really nervous to go up in front of like city council and like speak for like my family, you know, like my crew of people, you know, and I don't know, I just got like really anxious, and then everyone was like, Jake, get up there, and then they were like, Jake, get up there, like I just kept hearing that. I'm like, fuck, all right, and I got up there and I started like kind of like losing it, man. My emotions went fucking crazy, just because I don't know, like I really am passionate about just, I want these kids to have something sick in this town. So I was like bawling up there, like really came from the heart, dude.
Wow,
like I really, and it wasn't even like anything I could control.
Just kind of happened.
It just happened.
That happens. I can understand that. I've been there.
So like I just fucking got up there, spoke from my heart, and like the people that got the grant and stuff were just like, wow, like they were touched by it too, which was awesome. And they're like, basically they said they had no fucking problem giving us the $22,000 that we needed to design the skate park. And at the next meeting, they're super excited to see what we could bring, like what more people we can bring to the table to the next meeting for the $300,000 that we're about to be getting. So the grant just got like
accident on the freeway.
Oh shit!
See, the cop was like coming up the ramp the wrong way. Sorry to interrupt you.
No, you're fine, man. So yeah, I just went in there and spoke from the heart, dude, and we ended up really leaving an impact on the city because all of the council people were there as well, and afterwards they just like said thank you, and like they really, like I said, yeah, they were touched by it, man. So mission accomplished.
So speaking about throwing jams, I remember, for years when you worked at the Garden.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I feel like you did a lot of jams, and
yeah, man.
I mean, do you want to? Obviously, you're not affiliated with them anymore. Do you want to kind of your history with that and how how you guys went separate ways and everything?
Yeah, definitely. So basically, the Garden started out with Matt Murray and Bill Whitaker, who were transplants, I believe, from the Other Side Snowboard Shop. And I was really young at that time, and I was into snowboarding pretty heavily. Like, that was my main focus. I was like 8, probably. Through snowboarding, I met the people at the Garden. Or actually, from the Other Side, where I got my first snowboard, I met those dudes, and then finally opened a shop and went to the Garden then. From there, I just ended up riding for them. I snowboarded on their team. They got me like fucking awesome deal. Or not even an awesome deal. It's like free snowboards from snowboard companies. Got me like in the door with a few brands. I rode for like Mission 6 clothing and Rome snowboards, just on like some flow shit, But that was like amazing at the time when I was like 12 years old,
Yeah,
it's like fucking cool as hell. So after that, basically, time went on and I started falling more interested in BMX more and more. I always rode like while I snowboarded, but there had to be a point where I was doing snowboarding, hockey, and fucking BMX. So I was like just cutting shit out of my life that I didn't really care about too much, And I already got hurt snowboarding, so I was like already starting to fall out of it. And I met this dude, Justin Maruco, who was just like super supportive of like what I was doing, like hyped on everything really. He was just like down. And he was like, yo, Jake, like, do you ever think about asking the dudes to get biking in the skate shop? And like at the time, dude, like that's when like skating BMX was like not a thing, like they're like, fuck no, like we don't want any like BMXers in our skate shop, Yeah, so they were like, it was definitely like a challenge at first to get everything in the like BMX in the shop. But the first brands we got were Sunday and FBM, and we got it in there, and they were like, we'll do a trial, we'll see how it does. And like, fuck, dude, we sold out of that shit in the first week. Like already, like the scene was starting to build up. Like that generation of that time, like it was a strong scene, man. And there's a lot of riders already. And yeah, from that it just popped off, and the shop's been there for 16 years, I think. And yeah, until last year, I've been with them since for like almost like 10 years, I'd say, probably.
And were you sponsored and working there?
Yeah, I was sponsored and working there through riding too. I mean, honestly, the sponsor thing, I was the TM. I did all the BMX stuff. I did the social media. I did the clothing. Literally, I did everything there besides like the business side of it. I put in years and years and years of work, and like I've put it like trying to like promote or to get that place out there, to outside of just Pittsfield. It already had a huge following, but not through BMX,
Okay.
And what basically we started. We had an awesome team. We made videos. We made cool clothing. And it was just like a family. The Garden was known as like that shop to go to because of how like it didn't, I don't know, it just had the right feel to it. It felt like a home,
Okay.
And that's what I really loved about it. I loved that it was like a family thing. And over time, man, I started losing that a little bit. Then the shop started not doing too well, and like people just started losing interest. Really, the owners. Luke Kessler, he used to snowboard for them. He was actually like really, really well-known snowboarder. He taught for like the Olympic team for snowboarding and stuff. He was doing big things, you know. He was awesome at what he did. And he was affiliated with the Garden even longer, maybe than I was, maybe not being there, but he rode for him and knew the dude since the beginning, you know?
Yeah.
And he had the opportunity to buy the business. So what happened was the one owner, Matt Murray, sold the business to Luke, and the other owner decided to sell his half too, but he's still there. He still works at the shop and holds it down and is really the face of it, honestly, in my opinion. Like, that's Bill Whitaker, and he is definitely, I don't know, he's a G. That's all I can really say to describe that dude. He's true to himself, and he's just like a really good person, always looking to help people out, and he's a salesman. He can sell anything, you know? At that time, I was like in Austin for a few years, and, you know, I wasn't really as affiliated with the shop as I should have been, I guess. But then again, it's not my responsibility to, you know, I didn't work there anymore. I was just a rider, and I was doing my thing in Texas. So, as time goes on, and then I get the chance to move back home. Luke's like, you want to work for us, you know? So I get in there a few days a week, and then what kind of happened was, like, I just started being, like, treated like more of, like, a new, like a kid, you know, like a new employee. A person that, like, I didn't feel like I was respected at all, and, like, I really did put a lot of effort in at the time to, like, get this, like, everything back to kind of how it was in my mind, but what I wanted and what he wanted just didn't line up, and how I went about things and how he went about things didn't line up at all. Okay. So it was just a nightmare, honestly. It was just like there was always that awkward tension of like either like he's annoying, or not annoying, but he's just like bothering me, or I'm bothering him, or if I even step on this crack wrong, am I going to get bitched at for it, or like stuff like that. So it was pretty harsh, man.
Some tension, huh?
Yeah, and it just, at the time too, you know, I got to give it to him, like, he wasn't, it was his first time, like, owning a business like this. He hasn't been a boss before, you know, so he didn't really know how to treat his employees, you know?
Okay.
And, like I said, I just didn't feel respected at all, and I didn't get respected. So I ended up giving him a call and just telling him, really, like, honestly, how I felt about the shop and him. You know, I really, like, made it a point to let him know why I was leaving, you know? Yeah. And he, in his defense, he understood, and he really took it well. Well, I mean, on the phone he took it well, you know? He was, like, understanding and, like...
It's fine, like, thank God this guy's quitting, I can't stand him. No,
God, but it's actually the complete opposite, unfortunately. What if I just give you the business? What if I sell you the business? Like, he was going into panic mode. Like, he was just, like, not, like, thinking straightly. And I'm like, no, dude, like, that is not even in a, like, I can't even, like, answer that question because it's just so ridiculous. I want to be no part of the shop. So I left the shop and parted ways completely. Like, we didn't see each other for months, like, you know, after. And then over time, you know, I think, like, he really, like, checked himself. I don't even know what you'd call them, like, seminars, so, like, for business seminars, basically, to, like, how to treat your employees, how to be a boss, you know? Okay. And so he, like, went to those, he called me, and, like, really apologized, like, it was super, like, genuine apology, you know? Over the course of probably the past 6 months or so, gave it a lot of thought, and I'm not part of the shop, but I'm not so spiteful and, like, angry about the whole situation anymore. I'm down to, like, help them out, because in the long run, you know, if rather than us being against each other, if we somehow, like, he's really good at the business sides of things, so, like, you know, that's awesome, that's sweet, like, and I'm learning about all that stuff now, you know, with my business even. So I've just kind of, like, opened my mind up a little bit and, like, forgave him, you know, and I go buy shoes there. I stop in maybe, like, once a week, see how Bill's doing. I'll see Luke occasionally, and, like, I threw this jam and they were a sponsor of it. I let them be part of it because it felt right, you know. Us being separated from each other, it's just gonna, in my opinion, maybe hurt the scene, you know. Maybe that's a good point. That animosity is gonna, like, make kids be like, oh God, I don't know if I go to his side or who do I support. You don't want to drive a wedge in the scene. Exactly. So that really, like, I really, like, just I was like, damn, I gotta stop this. And like him putting in the effort, I was like, why can't I put in the effort to like be open-minded and like, you know, maybe work with these dudes? So we don't have anything planned in the future. You know, I was like, we've talked about the collabs and clothing or events and stuff, but I think that's as far as it'll probably go. But overall, like, I'm happy to do stuff with them now rather than being spiteful and not wanting to do anything with them, you know?
That's cool. Sounds like you guys squashed it.
Yeah, everything's squashed, and there's no animosity at all, and they are good people, you know? I was like, I gotta say that, like, and it's badass that he actually, like, accepted his flaws and what he was doing and, like, went out to, like, try to make it better.
Yeah.
And, like,
true.
hats off to him for that, you know? Like, you know what? Like, as of right now, like, things are cool.
Oh, yeah.
So, yeah.
Be the
ride
bigger
this thing?
person.
Do it. You want to ride this thing? This thing is amazing looking. Are you kidding me?